To make Duke Fishron, I first start by making the two main colors for this project. I first start by combining a bunch of darker blues in order to make the main dark blue for fins. After that, I combine some lighter blues, greens, and yellows in order to make the teal that most of the body is. After that, I scrunch up a ball of aluminum foil in order to make the main body, then I cover it in the teal. After that, I make the basic structure of the back fin, and just once that's done, I add in the dark blue on the back fin. After it's added on both sides, I cut it to the proper size, and then I put a worm of teal clay on the outside in order to make sure that it is under the teal. Once the fin is properly put and blended in, I need to start working on the little things in the middle. To that, I have a ball of clay, make it slightly ovular, and put it on both sides of the middle of the back fin. Then I connect them with a worm of teal clay on the back that gets bent out and small, kind of. Then I start to work on the face. I first bulk out a little area for the eyes, and then I add on a little area for the nose. The nose is mostly square, so I just made it a little bit thicker and blended it into the rest of the face so far. Once I got the eye placement area and the nose, I then started to patch up all of the areas that were very obviously not flat because of the aluminum foil. I first started in small areas, and then I went back to doing the face for some reason, making the bottom jaw this time. And then I went back to this, starting in smaller areas, but then eventually not wanting to do that and just getting two larger sheets of clay for both sides of the body. Once these two larger sheets were blended in, the entirety of the Duke was decently flat, so I started bulking up the front of the head, or the face, as some call it. Once I bulked up the cheeks, the nose was looking a little skinny, so I bulked up the nose. Bulking up in areas, just adding clay to it until it looks alright. Well, every time I add clay in this project, it usually gets blended in if it's in a color with the same color clay surrounding it. After that, I add the little hump on the Duke's back. Once this little hump is blended in, it's time to start working on the face, or the face more completely. I start by making the jaw the proper shape, then adding in little areas for the tooths later. Then, once I do that, I add in the little nostril holes. After the nostril holes, I start to add in the gills, which is just three little worms of clay that get blended in on the backside being the side away from the face, and then on the front side gets indented inwards to make them look like a little bit like fins, or how the fins are shown on the design of the Duke Fishron. This process is repeated on both sides, unlike what's shown in the video, but it's the same process for both sides. After that, I start to work on the teeth, which is just a whitish yellow that is a little curved and pointy, and then two black circles for the eyes. First, I pushed in the teeth in the areas that I had made earlier, and then after that, I push in the eyes, which are just where the eyes should be, front-facing, because this is a predator. After that, I add in the gums, which is just a tannish purple. These are put on both sides of the teeth and properly cut to size, but this color is going to be used eventually again. Then I put a worm of clay around the bottom jaw in order to give it the lips of the bottom jaw. After that, that little worm gets blended into the rest of the teal that's on the bottom jaw. Then I make the lips for the top of the mouth. This gets placed over the nose and then cut to size once it's to the proper size. Right here, I'm adding the inside of the mouth color again to the bottom, then re-adding the lips because I needed to do that again, and then blending the top of the lips into the teal of the nose. Once this is blended in, I use a ball stylus to make the top part of the mouth look mouth-like. And then I add some more teal to the top of the nose to make it a less noticeable gap between the top of the nose and the top of the forehead. This, again, gets blended in. After that, I start working on the eyebrow areas. These are just two worms that go right above the eyes and then blend it in to the rest of the head, but still so you can notice that they're there. After that, I start working on the fins, starting on the basically ear-looking type thingies, which are just two small triangles put at the front of the head. The bottom of both of these get blended into the rest of the body. And then I start to work on the larger ones, starting with the back fins, which are just larger semi-1/4 of a circle triangles, but this time with a little bit of blue on the inside. These get placed on the back near the tail. Of course, when I was doing this, the tail and the head were not, even, so I had to make these a little bit bendy to make them look right. After that, I added some blue to the inside of the fins closest to the head in order to make them game accurate, guys. And then, once the 4 fins that I currently have were complete, I started to work again on the bottom fins, this time making the ones close to the head. This time I actually filled the inside of it with blue before actually attaching it to the model, but with this specific one, there is a little bit more detail. A worm of light blue clay, or the teal, is put right where that pointy thing is, and that then gets blended into the rest of the body, close to the mouth this time, right below the gills. Once these two are blended in, I need to start working on the 4 gills on the top. Well, not gills, fins. These two are the 2 hind fins, which are just the same exact way as the 2 hind fins on the bottom. These once again get pushed in and blended in, both on either side near the hump. After that, those two get blended in, I make the ones similar to ones on the front, but this time with a little bit more detail and a little bit more effort because these are larger and are wings. These, again, have a little point on the lower side, but this time there are actually 2 worms of teal clay that get put on. One on the little point and one further down on the closest, the least furthest point in the semicircle that's missing. That gets copied over again and put on the other side. Then I start to make the stand, which I'm just going to make a thingy, whatever the shark traumas come out of. This is just a line of some blue clay that gets put around a thing of aluminum foil, and then covered the top with white. Now, probably would have been better to do this with some light blue, but I don't know, man. Looks good to me. Then I covered the bottom with some white in order to make it actually structurally stable, and it's done.